welcome back. It's Sunday and it's time to go through the 12-pound barrel. Just a little update on some of the other things going around in the shop. We still have some Mozambique agates in one of our 3-pound barrels, and that's been rolling for about 2 months, doing 5 pounds in a 3-pound barrel. I'm trying to get all the flaws out, but getting down to some of the end here where it's going to either need some grinding or a long time. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's been going for a long time, but it's looking real good. Our other 3-pound barrel, we've got Desert Jasper, and that batch I'm going to finish completely all rotary. And right now it's in 500 grit aluminum oxide. And I've been rolling them for 10 days per stage just because I'm not real familiar with finishing in the rotary. I've only finished a couple batches. Normally we move them over to the Lotto when we're ready to move to those stages. But it's got a few days left in 500. Then we're going to do 10 days in 1,000, and then we'll do 10 days in polish. And we've got some red Jasper in the Lotto tumbler that is done today. So we're going to clean it all up and see how it looks. And we should have the video out for that on Wednesday. So that's some of the things we've got coming up. So keep your eyes open. I think it should be about Wednesday we'll have that video out for the red Jasper. Now we'll see how things are looking in the 12-pound barrel. Got a lot of Botswanas in here and the Bahia. But all the Botswanas are in here, so there won't be any more of that. So we'll be starting to add some different stuff. See our Thunder Egg and our Geode. We're seeing a lot more of the quartz on the Geode. That's looking cool. Our little experiment going on with those. And if they turn out cool, maybe we'll throw a couple more in there. We've got some more Thunder Eggs and Geodes sitting on the bench. I'm really waiting for some of the 3-pound barrels to open up because I've got some things that need to tumble by themselves, like some sodalite, and I think the green adventuring, I don't think I'm going to put much more in the 12-pound barrel. I'm going to try to do that in the 3-pound barrel. So we're waiting for some of those to open up. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks we'll have some new stuff going on in those. And I might start adding, when I get some of that stuff in the 3-pound barrels, we might start adding it to the Sunday video because I try to have everything, I go a week on everything, so I've been doing it on Sundays because it seems like I have more time. Maybe we can go through some of the 3-pound barrels on our Sunday videos too. Alright. Maybe we'll have some Bahia agates ready to come out this week. I know there's some last week that were really close. That's what it looks like. I don't go in there a lot, but 14 tablespoons, and it was 7 days, and you can see there's no grit left. I think I could probably add more grit, like a couple more tablespoons, because it's always all gone. But or I could go a couple days shorter, but 7 days just seems, it's a lot easier to keep track of where you're at when it's always on Sunday. So of Bahias, some Botswanas, little red Jasper in there yet. I'll go ahead and go through those and we'll see what's ready to move on, take a look at some of it, and figure out what we want to do to fill the barrel this week. One thing I wanted to talk about this week is just the whole process. You'll see some people that will put a batch in and they will keep that batch together all the way through. So if they run the batch for 3 weeks in coarse grit, they run the entire batch for 3 weeks and then they'll move the whole batch over to the next stage, whether all the flaws are gone or not. And if you're fine with it, that's fine, you know. I personally like to get all the flaws out that I can, so I do it the way that I do it, so that way when one is ready to move on, the rest of them might not be, so I'll pull that one out. So just keep in mind that it's whatever you're happy with. It's whatever you want, the results that you want at the end. I found that I have moved things on that were really close, and then after it was done, I wished I would have ran it longer. So I find myself running things a long time just to get all the flaws out. But if you're happy with that, or if that's the look that you're going for, I shouldn't say if you're happy with it, but some people want something different out of it, you know? So I'll always run pretty well everything until I'm happy with it or it's a flaw I can't get rid of. So there'll be weeks that you might not have much going on. Like right now, this week, all the stuff in the black tub there is everything I'm happy with and I'm moving on. And then there's some stuff over here we'll look at that all has like one little flaw that I could probably move it on, but when it's done and it's polished, I'll probably think, man, I wish I would have ran in a couple more weeks. So that's just one thing to consider, that there's no rules, there's no anything that says you have to do it this way or that way. It's all whatever you want to do, whatever you're happy with. So I just wanted to throw that out there because some people might do theirs different than I do, and you might want to do yours different than I do. So I mean, it's whatever you want and whatever you're happy with. So we'll take a look at a few of these. Mostly this week, it looks like I've got a couple of Bahia agates and some red jasper, and then I've got a bunch of the desert, well, not a bunch, but a few pieces of the desert jasper that I threw in here out of my 3-pound barrel. So they're pretty well all of these are pretty well flawless, and they're looking really nice. I'm going to move this out of the way just so it'll focus a little bit better. Maybe we'll zoom it in a little bit. You can see those circles on there, but there's nothing there. You can't feel anything. And it's looking really nice. I really like the stripes on that one. So that's a Bahia agate. And here's another Bahia agate. This one has a large quartz pocket in it. And the quartz is a little bit softer, and you can see how it dips down where the quartz is because it's softer and it wore away faster. But man, that thing has got some awesome bands on it. I really like that one. Sometimes I get them in the camera and I'll find a, well, there, like that. It's got that crack run. It's not a crack, it's like a layer. And I'm afraid that it's just going to keep chipping off. And I really like that quartz running through it and all those bands. So I'm going to move it on so I don't. Sometimes you'll run things longer and you'll think one more week and it's ready and you'll end up creating another issue with it. So I'm just going to pull it out before anything like that happens because I like the way that it looks. And then there's one more Bahia agate. It also has a quartz pocket. You'll see that a lot on these. At least the stuff that I've had a lot of quartz pockets. And this one's got some really cool bands on it. And you can kind of see that fracture line through it, but you can't feel it. So I don't know if you call it, they kind of heal back together when they get a fracture. So sometimes there's a fracture in it that is open, and sometimes it must close back up because you can't feel it at all. But that one also has some really cool bands on it. I really like these Bahia agates. Lots of stuff. Not a really wide variety of color. They're all similar in colors, but there's a few differences here and there. So that one's really cool. And I think that that's all the Bahia agates that we have. I do have some of this desert jasper. I'll just pull those out. And this doesn't have a real wide variety in color either. It's got pretty decent colors though. You got some blues and some reds and some green and almost like a purple color, but those ones are all pretty well flawless. There's no flaws. You can see that there, but that's in the rock pattern. You can't actually feel it. So those are looking really nice. And then we've got a piece of green adventurine, and it's got that fracture in it. And at this stage right now, I can't feel it at all. I mean, you can see it, but you can see that fracture running up and down right there too. It's a really faint line, but it's in there. So this stuff has transparency to it, so you're going to be able to see it. And it's just the nature of the beast with some things. You just can't get rid of it all. So we're going to move it on. And I'm betting a lot of that it's going to be like that. And then for the most part, everything else that we're moving on this week might be another piece of desert jasper in here, but otherwise it's all red jasper. And it's got some yellow in it, but it's looking really nice. Hopefully it looks just like that when we get it polished. So another thing I wanted to talk about is some things like some agates and some different things. You'll look at it and like this one, now my fingers are wet, but when it dries, oh, come on now, focus. You can kind of see fractures in it. And if I get it wet, they kind of go away. So one thing I've learned, if I have something like an agate like this that has some transparency to it, and I'm really wanting to get them flawless or as best as I can, sometimes it's better if you let them dry when you go through them. Things like obsidian, I've had some that I pulled them out and I thought they looked really good when they were wet, and then after they dried, things kind of show up when the water dries out of a fracture or something like that. So then I've decided I wanted to run them longer. So it's not a terrible idea to let them dry off if you're wanting to get them like really, really nice and perfect. So this one's got that spot right there. So I'm running it a little bit longer because of that. And hopefully we can whittle away at some of those fractures and they'll get a little bit lighter so you don't see them. And then here's a Bahia agate, and it's got one spot there. All these ones over here have like one spot, and they're going to be ready to go. This week, if you tumble like I do, where you pull out the stuff that's ready, you'll find some weeks you're really, really picky and you don't let things move on, and other weeks you're a little bit more generous and you'll let some things slide. And then sometimes I feel like I regret that when I've let some things slide. So this week I was really picky. And this one's looking really nice. I like the pattern on it. It's really cool. And then it's got some quartz, almost yellow stained quartz in it back there. But it's looking really nice. So most of the time I'll also find, though, that when you have a week that you're really picky, normally the next week you'll have a pretty good clean out. Because the things that you were just about ready to move on and you made them roll another week, they'll look a lot better the next week. That's got that little spot right there that I want to get rid of. But it's super close. I mean, that's basically all I'm waiting on this one. There is a little fracture line in it right there, but I can live with it because it goes pretty deep and I'm not going to get rid of it. And it's got really cool pattern on it. So here's another one of the Botswanas, and you can see that fracture on the top there. And it's right in the pattern spot. And I don't think it goes very deep. The rest of it looks really nice. It's got some eyes on the back, and you can't feel any of those. They're down in the agate. But with that fracture line, right now it's dry and you can really see it, and I'll get it wet. And you can see it, but it kind of diminishes a little bit. And you can see how nice it looks wet. And hopefully, like I said, it'll look just like that when it's polished. And it'll turn out really nice. So that's about all. I mean, we've got some other ones here. There's a Bahia agate. That's dry, other than up here where I touched it with my fingers. It's got that spot right there that I'm trying to... I might have to live with it because I'm not going to get it all out of there, but we'll see. It's got really cool pattern, though. I really like that. But I'm going to try to get that worked out a little bit more. And this is what it looks like wet. It has that fracture in it there, but you can't feel that right here. But that thing looks really cool. I have the other half in the barrel, too, that I'm working on, because this is one that I'd cut just to see the pattern on the inside. And I think the pattern on the inside is a little cooler because it's got more white in it, and on the outside you don't see as much of that. So that one's looking good. Here's another one of the Bahia agates, and it's dry. It's got the eyes with the holes in it, and they don't show up so much. That spot right there is basically what I'm working on. There's a little bit you can feel right there, and then that hole, I'm going to try to get rid of some more of that. And then that looks like that wet. That thing is really cool, all those lines and the eyes. It's got a little bit of a fortification banding in it right there. Well, I had a little malfunction with the camera, so we'll look at, here's the geode. That's what it looks like dry. We're seeing a lot more of the quartz in it, and we're getting more of the host rock off. And it still is, either it's solid, some of these geodes will be solid, it'll probably have a little hollow spot, but there's nothing inside of it yet, no water or anything. And that's what it looks like wet. I think the more of the quartz that we expose on it, I'm hoping we can expose more quartz without breaking it open, and I think it'll look pretty neat. And then there's the thunder egg. That's what it looks like dry. We're starting to expose more of the agate on the inside, and a lot of them have like white inside of them, and then this is the surface with the most agate, and I'll get it wet here. And that's what it looks like wet. It's looking really nice. The brown on the outside isn't very appealing, and it has the flaws in it, basically, where it's not smooth, and we're going to try to get most of that out of there, but we'll see how it goes. Could take a few more weeks. So we will go ahead and get all these back in the barrel, and the stuff that we looked at first is ready to move the next stage. So we'll get the barrels set back up, and we will get everything loaded back up and see how much room we have and what we have to put in there to fill it this week. All right, we've got everything back in the barrel and some water. This is all the stuff that's really, really close that we just looked at on the table in our Thunder Egg and our Geode. We'll get that back in. I was cleaning up a little bit this week, and I found one piece of polychrome jasper on the floor. When I got this stuff, I didn't have a saw or anything, so when I broke it up, I used a hammer. And when I used the hammer, some of it flew around, and I missed this piece apparently, and it was underneath my bench. So we got one piece of polychrome jasper going in. And then I think this week we've got a lot of reds in there, so I got more red jasper, but I'm not going to throw any more in this week. We've got this zebra jasper. And we're going to throw some of this zebra jasper in. I've never tumbled this stuff before, and it looks pretty cool. So we're going to throw some of that in there to fill the barrel. We'll see how it looks. All right, there we're a little over 2/3. It's about where I normally go. I've got the water in there. It's just down below the level of the rock. And we've got our 14 tablespoons of our 14 tablespoons of our 4670 silicon carbide. And we will get that back on the tumbler, and it'll roll for a week, and we'll take a look at it again next Sunday. If you liked our video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss some of the things that we have coming up, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.